Good Tuesday morning, East Tennessee. My name is David Aldridge, Chief Meteorologist of Captain Accurate Weather, coming to you by way of the Captain Accurate Weather Command Center. On behalf of Weigel's, fuel and food that's fast, fresh, and friendly, here's your East Tennessee weather update. But first, I got to talk about it's back. I got to tell you, it's back. I don't know if you've noticed, but the orange creamsicle milk, which kind of coincides with the Vols taking to the field this time of year, back for a limited time. Everybody loves a great comeback story. Of course, the orange creamsicle milk is delicious. It's yummy. It's rich and creamy, and it's available for a limited time only at Weigel's. Check it out. Weigel's is just better when it's fresh, farm to store, and 24. It's just better when it's with Tennessee cows. I got to talk about some fog too, because fog is another element. Yet again, it seems like we had a string of these in August, and that tends to, I don't know, tell us a little bit about the upcoming winter. A lot of folks believe in fogs in August. What about fogs in September? What about fogs in October? We have now reached the month of October, the 3rd of October, and look at the visibility. It's not very good if you're up down, say around Jellicoe or Middlesboro or Jacksboro. It's down to about a mile. Some areas, I'm sure, in Union County aren't necessarily all that perfect or grand. So please be extra careful. Use your low beams. That's a good idea, as you'll continue to find, I think, poor visibility for the next hour or so, maybe an hour and a half in some cases, especially to the far north. But as far as what we've been watching and as far as what we're continuing to watch is the dry weather. Let's put this into context for us. Let's talk about the dry weather, because the moisture deficit has continued to grow. There's nothing to see here in the state of Tennessee, and if we expand the view, you'll notice what we have across parts of the deep south, maybe a few hit or miss showers near Florida, certainly near Houston, but it's a dry pattern. More wet weather and severe weather will break out not far from maybe the Midwest. We'll talk about that here toward the end of my Facebook Live. But I'm also on YouTube Live. I'm on both. I want to say good morning to you if you're interested in finding out how much rain we are going to get, when it's going to rain again. I've got all those answers coming up that you probably won't hear anywhere in such a concise format. Anyway, I'm on YouTube. Oh, I see Anita 97 says, good morning, David. Glad to have you here. A couple of comments already from Marilyn Bell says, good morning. Have a great day. Let's build up the YouTube. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. Love to expand the reach. Thank you, Marilyn. I had a chance to spend some time yesterday with Marilyn Bell and Kathy Moeller, two of my premium members. We went to Sneedville. I invited all my premium members, hey, meet me at Sneedville at the courthouse at 12 noon. And two of them did. So it was a little bit of a drive, but boy, I tell you, I had a great time. I'll go into that later, including I got a chance to meet Morgan Wallen's Mamaw. I got to meet Mamaw, Morgan Wallen's actual Mamaw, yesterday. Felicia Crafty Adventure says, happy October. Glad to have her here. And I want to jump back to YouTube, because some of you may be on this as well. If I'm on my grid view, I think I've got little boxes over here. Let's pop that on. Ooh, Danny says, good morning, David. Hope you have a great Tuesday. Go Vols. He's got the big orange as well as maybe the orange creamsicle milk from Weigel's. Fred says, good morning, David. Grab the Weigel's coffee. Absolutely, Fred. And Nancy Douglas Moses says, good morning, Captain. She said she loves, I got to move this down. She loves, let's see, you know what's funny, because I can't grab it as quickly as I used to, but maybe this will come down. But she's mentioning some comments here about, let's pull that down. Anyway, so I got some interesting things to know. Anyway, to get to the moisture deficit, how dry is it? Over 2, maybe even 3 inches below average? That's what we're seeing at this particular time. And that can cause also some real issues for anything that you might be growing. I mean, thinking of the cooler crops in the garden. Maybe it's carrots, maybe it's lettuce. Who knows what you may be growing this fall season. But it's very dry. The ground and the lawn may be crunchy. And now we're getting closer to, in October, we get closer to the fall foliage season, where folks really marvel at all the things that are changing. So it would be nice to get some rain. And October is typically a dry month, but this is exceedingly dry, as indicated by the drought monitor. This came out Thursday. If you're under the yellow area, you'd be considered abnormally dry. But keep in mind the data that this projected here was from last Tuesday. What the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration does, by 8:30 every Tuesday morning, that's this morning, they will cut the data off, they'll process it. Takes a couple of days for the supercomputers to process it, and then they post it every Thursday morning. So by the time it comes out Thursday morning, it's a couple of days old. So even though your county or town may not be listed as yellow, I suspect the next go around, it probably will. This continues to grow. So I suspect, and while we may be level 1 on the drought monitor, places like Chattanooga and areas in parts of Georgia and Alabama are under a moderate drought, so they are actually showing up as brown. Some very dry air, certainly dry air, dry soil, and it's been very dry, exceedingly so in parts of Mississippi, Louisiana, and southeast Texas. So good morning to you. I see some notes in here, just looking at some comments and also your thoughts here. I want to see if you've got some interesting things to add. I do know that we are going to see some rain, but it's not going to come until late week. And some of the new data suggests two things. Some of the remnants, or let's say the leftover rains from Philippe, could hit Nova Scotia, could hit maybe far eastern sections of Maine. That'll be a big story. We're going to look at that. And I'm also going to be tracking some rain for us from an approaching front on Friday into Friday night. Friday night may be your best chance for some showers and storms. Not what you want to hear if you have Friday night plans. But the drought monitor is pretty descriptive, all those red areas where we have an exceptional or extreme drought. October, I've said it before, historically is the driest month on average. Doesn't mean it's always 2.81. That's just the average. Sometimes it's above, sometimes it's below. September was unusually dry to the tune of the fifth driest, tied for the fifth, driest September on record. 3.5 is what we usually see in Knoxville. And we typically see just under 52 inches at the bottom, just under 52 inches of rain and melted snow in a calendar year. So some years, some months are higher than average. Obviously, January was above average, March was above average, so was June, and so well, July was pretty close. But August was above average. But now we're kind of hoping that it rains soon, but we've had nothing so far in October. So if you like numbers, I'm sure you'd like what you saw there. By the way, temperatures right now, 59 degrees. In Crossville, about 54. It's 52 in Jamestown, 59 Morristown, and 58 currently in Newport. Are you waking up to the 50s? Most likely you are. But there is also, as I mentioned, a little hint of fog to greet you this morning. Take note of that. 59 right now in Oak Ridge. But it's interesting. It's 10 degrees warmer in Memphis. I did some note checking because I'm a note taker. I did find it fascinating. Yesterday, Memphis hit 91 degrees. And you said, why do I consider about Memphis is kind of like the canary in the coal mine. Not to say we're going to get as hot as they have been, but they've had 8 straight days in the 90s in Memphis since the 25th of September. 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th. In the first 2 days of October, they have a good chance of hitting 90 again today. And they hit 11 days at 90 in September. So it could be worse. We're not talking about 90s, but we had our string of 90s at that same time frame in 2019. For those of you old enough to remember, how about that? Just remember, I can barely remember what I had for lunch a week ago Tuesday. But it was 2019, we had a string of mid-90s in Knoxville for the first 3 days of October. So what was that, 4 years ago? 4 years ago. Memphis is feeling all that and more just this calendar year, and certainly late September, early October. They're going to be around 90 again today. So hot weather, if you're headed west, will be at least back in around 87. If you're curious when our first frost is going to occur, I can tell you this, it's usually in that third week of October. First week of November, usually we see our first freeze. Doesn't always line up that way, but those are the averages, and certainly any frost would help with the ragweed season, which has been probably pretty tough this calendar year as well. Wind speeds, zero. As far as the winds, they're not moving much at all. I want to say good morning once again. I got a couple of notes. Wanda Poe says, David, good morning. Love the cool temperature. She loves this weekend, I'm sure. This weekend, total turnaround. Big cool down. Temperatures could be in the upper 30s in places like Sneedville and Crossville and maybe Jamestown and Smokies. But for us, low 40s Sunday morning will be the coolest morning I think is headed our way. Alice says good morning. Loving the beautiful days, especially the warm afternoons. Felicia says good morning. Light jacket needed in South Knoxville. Boy, if a light jacket's needed today, I think, Felicia, you're going to want maybe the heavier coat for you as we move into Sunday morning, because I have Knoxville down to about 42. Ooh, 42 here. It's going to easily be upper 30s in some of the outlying areas. By the way, it's back. If you haven't tried the orange creamsicle milk from Weigel's, it's back for a limited time. If you go to Weigel's today, and I hope you will, check it out. It's yummy. It's rich and creamy. Available now for a limited time only at Weigel's as you fill up your tank. As Fred mentioned, grab some coffee too. It's farm to store in 24. Their milk is just delicious, absolutely, and it's just better when it's with Tennessee cows. Who would argue with that notion? It is just better when it's with Tennessee cows, but very thankful for them, and it's back, the orange creamsicle milk with Weigel's. Getting back to the weather, I mentioned the winds are light. It is 6:49. I'm going to be done in 11 minutes or less. Here's my high temperature expectation today. Yesterday we hit 86. Today I think we're going to 87. Well, that's only 1 degree. I know, but some of you thought 86 was too warm. Right? It's not 90, not 90 plus like Memphis, but it is still very warm given the normal high is 77. Normal high is 77 this time of year. So we're going to be precisely 10 degrees warmer today than normal. 85 for Morristown. 87 for Oak Ridge, Kingston, Rockwood, and 86 for Maryville, Alcoa is my expectation. Crossville, 81 today in Cumberland County. Now, if you were concerned or not sure, I can't figure out when that sun comes up. It doesn't come up now until 7:32. Boo! I know you got to wait a while, right? Even 32 minutes after I'm done, you're still waiting for that sun to pop out. Sun sets tonight at 7:17. Our days, in fact, are getting shorter. Here's the cloud situation. Not a whole lot, but where we've had an absence of clouds, some cases, some fog has become locally dense, especially north of town, that I can see. If you've got an observation for fog this morning, love to see it in the comments section. I see Tyler Wiseman, he's on here. He says, hello, good morning from Tellico Plains. Glad to have Tyler here. Tyler, great to see you, sir. And Darcy says it is a foggy morning. Darcy's usually out and tell me how foggy it is, maybe in the Kingston area. And if you are seeing some fog, let me know. Maybe is it really bad? Is it like pea soup? Is it thick? Or is it, not so bad? I've had it worse, Aldrich. I've seen it worse. Let me know in the comments section, as I'm also looking over here at YouTube. I'm going to pop over here on YouTube here in a second, but that's what I'm watching as far as bus stops. 67, about 83 for pickup by that point. Speaking of YouTube, youtube.com/@CaptainAccurate. It's free. My subscriber group continues to grow there. That is free. Just join us on YouTube, and you get different sets of notifications. Some prefer YouTube over Facebook. I get that. So I'm just trying to expand my reach, but I got a couple of notes from you on YouTube. And I see that Melissa Mumpowers, she says, good morning on YouTube. Have a blessed day. Thank you, Melissa, for being here. Marilyn says, I worry about dry conditions, especially remembering the Gatlinburg fire. Don't throw out the cigarette butts. It can cause a fire. Absolutely. In fact, I saw Smokey the Bear, you know, the old Smokey the Bear, on my drive into Sneedville, saying it was moderate. So there is a concern that we want to make sure that we take care of our neighbors and make sure that we know or are mindful how quickly things can get out of control. Those do bring back quite a few memories. Headlines, more dry days ahead. Rain chance late this week. I'm talking Friday and especially Friday night. So I added that little active icon on my 7-day. You'll see that here in a second, but a big cool down this weekend. Temperatures only reaching the mid-60s for highs for much of this weekend. I did mention a moment ago Philippe is causing some havoc over some of the islands. That big red spot in the bottom left is Tropical Storm Philippe. He's got winds of 50 miles per hour. It doesn't sound all that strong, but he does strengthen as he moves northward, and you can see he gets all the way up to about a 65, maybe approaching hurricane by the time it approaches Nova Scotia. So our models kind of move it west. If it moves it west, it could graze eastern Maine, but take a square hit on Nova Scotia, that area once again, as we saw yet again, Lee earlier this season. We saw a storm that moved in that same type of direction. We just saw a new one form today in the Pacific called Livia, and the 70% chance will be likely max. So they've got 2 active storms potentially down in the Pacific. Watching these tropics, we can now move through Ophelia, Philippe, and Rena. But Sean, Tammy, and Vince would be the next names on this year's list. It is 6:53. I'm going to be done right on time. 59 degrees, no wind to speak of. Very comfortable dew point in the mid-50s, but with that relative humidity at 90%. Some of you may be approaching 100% for relative humidity due to the patches of dense fog. Now, the precipitation chances says 40% on Friday. We could argue that it's 40% Friday night as well. And by the time you wake up Saturday morning, it could still be raining in the Smokies. So if you're camping and you say, well, I thought Saturday was going to be great, this thing's slowing down. So the trend is slowing down the rain on Friday night, that it could still be raining actively, like coming down Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. It's still raining in the Smokies. That's my anticipation. So be mindful that we will probably be watching and reevaluating Saturday's early morning forecast as needed. But right now it looks like it's dry in Knoxville by the time its sun comes up. Valley Planner. I mentioned we're 10 degrees warmer than average today. Some early fog, but not for everybody. Mostly sunny for everybody, and warm, essentially, for this time of year for everybody involved. So East Tennessee is going to have a warm day, much like yesterday. Storm Prediction Center, looking at some of these colors, which represent some enhanced areas out west. So the severe weather is picking back up in parts of Kansas, Nebraska, parts of Oklahoma, where they could find a few tornadoes today. Some areas in yellow, scattered severe storms all the way down to South Texas. Not southeast Texas, that would be Houston, but southwest Texas could find some severe weather. Back home, nothing to see here, and there will be some more activity for severe weather tomorrow, mainly between Texas, Oklahoma. We're talking Lawton, Wichita Falls, and Lubbock, Texas. Of course, our minds are thinking, hey, it's a bye week. Aren't we taking on Texas A&M soon? Yeah, that would be the following weekend. But yes, Texas A&M coming into town. They're going to be doing that gig 'em thing. As I have a wife who graduated from Texas A&M, I hear that quite a bit. But as I know, Knoxville, we've got a dry day tomorrow. We got a dry day on Thursday. Some general thunderstorms make it into Chicago, St. Louis, Dallas, and Houston heading into Thursday. All things look quiet Thursday here. It's not until Friday we bring in that opportunity for some wet weather. All right, it is 6:56. Let me show you what the futurecast looks like. High pressure parked over Pennsylvania, and a lot of feedback. Those little green splotches don't necessarily verify. It's a little bit of model noise. But we will stay dry through 5 o'clock today, 11 o'clock tonight, and so on. There's a front trying to slide into towards St. Louis by tomorrow afternoon. They'll get some possible pop-up showers and storms, and eventually that will get here, but not until Friday. And you can see it's progressing like so by 5 o'clock Thursday. It's making it into Middle Tennessee. Say, please make it rain at my house, and here it comes. Maybe a few of those showers make it in here in the wee hours of Friday, but our better bet, I think, will come Friday evening. Now, Futurecast doesn't show much in the way of cloud cover, but fog is certainly an issue early this morning. By midday, many of us will be in the mid-70s. I'd say that's pretty comfortable, but if you're out in the full sunshine, it starts to feel pretty warm. 77, noontime, around Wartburg, Jamestown, 76, and Oneida, 76, Morristown. Heading into 4 o'clock, about 84, and I think by the time we hit about, say, 85, 86, excuse me, 87, is where I expect to be by 5 o'clock. Interesting to see how this model puts it at 88, but I think 87 is certainly doable this afternoon, so please pace yourself out in this heat. It's just part of the way it goes. But meanwhile, we look ahead toward tomorrow. A little bit of scattered clouds. We'll call it hazy sun and clouds tomorrow, but we'll make another run toward 87. About 77 at noon tomorrow and finish the day. And this model puts it at 89. So 86 Maryville, 86 Morristown. I think 87 for the next 2 days is very reasonable. So be prepared for it. And it's, again, you can tack on a few extra degrees if you're standing in the direct sunlight. It's just the way it goes. And even though the sun is getting at a lower angle in the sky, you can still get sunburn. So please be extra careful there too. All right, here we go for today. High temperature 87. Mostly sunny and warm. I don't expect winds to move much more than 0 to 5 miles per hour today. If you're in the areas of the plateau, low 80s more likely. Jamestown, Lake Tansy, Grimsley, Crossville, 81. About 88 for Athens, 87 for Tellico Plains is my expectation. 85 in Morristown, 83 in Sevierville, and about 85 for Bell County in Middlesboro. Sneedville should be in the mid-80s today. 83 in Tri-Cities, but there's that 90 in Memphis. If they hit 90, that'll be 9 days in a row. You can keep that. I don't want 9 90-degree days in a row like they've had, but it's been pretty tough. Oh, I got a note from Darcy. She's saying it's pea soup. Oh, I hate pea soup. Although maybe if you're really hungry, pea soup's okay. But pea soup for fog, not a good situation. Thank you, Darcy. Michael Norman, not going to be enjoying the lower temperatures. I'm going to need that to stop. Oh, no. Oh, I say you're protesting the cool air. This is not the season for you, Michael, but hang in there. Ahoy, Captain, says Marty Mello. Glad to see Marty checking in from North Carolina, and leaves are turning some. That's cool. And they are changing. I love to see your pictures on the David Aldrich Weather Group. That's what it was designed for, to show what you're seeing at any time, day or night. By the way, mostly clear tonight. Patches of fog late, no big surprise. We're back in the upper 50s for tonight. And lows in Oneida, 56 tonight. 58 Morristown, 59 Oak Ridge. Another comfortable night, but again, mostly clear skies with patches of fog or likely overnight. Here we go. It is 6:59. Here's the Captain Accurate Weather Authority forecast for Knoxville and East Tennessee. 87 the next 2 days. It does get a wee cooler with partly cloudy skies on Thursday, but then that Friday chance, 40% chance, and it continues Friday night, which I put that little flashing cloud and thunderbolt there to suggest you could wake up in the Smokies and it's still raining. Depending on how this is slowing down, we may have to add a little bit of rain for the Smokies early Saturday morning. With highs only in the mid-60s. Low temperature Saturday night, Sunday morning around the low 40s. And by the way, 45 is the threshold upon which you could start to see your breath. So 42 degrees is, you can see your breath type of morning if you're up Sunday morning. Something to think about. And maybe a heavier jacket. So I got to figure out where that's located. So you got some time before we get to that point in time. But this is certainly a change in the pattern. But we bounce back up to about 70 on Monday with some pleasant sunshine. So a little hint of some cooler air not far away, knocking on the door. By the way, it's back. It's back from a limited time. Orange creamsicle milk. Everybody loves a comeback story. We're talking about the Weigel's Orange Creamsicle Milk. It's been out before, but it's so special when the Vols take to the field on Neyland Stadium, at Neyland Stadium this time of year. Of course, it's a bye week. You can actually buy more Orange Creamsicle Milk, available for a limited time only at Weigel's. They've been a great partner for Captain Accurate Weather. If you're at Weigel's, it's just better when it's fresh, farm to store, in 24, and just better when it's with Tennessee cows. And if you're there, tell them Captain Accurate sent you. Love the Orange Creamsicle Milk. Well, my name is David Aldrich. Some people call me Captain Accurate. It's not easy being accurate, so weather doesn't surprise you. We'll see you here next time. Take care.